Top boxing news.
Okay, we'll start with this. It appears this upcoming weekend on the 17th, former undisputed welterweight champion Cecilia Brækhus is going to be returning to action for the first time in a long time since her second loss to current reigning undisputed welterweight champion Jessica McCaskill as part of, get this, a Golden Boy promotion show in the Commerce Casino in Commerce, California.
It's my understanding that she has since reunited with her longtime trainer, Jonathan Banks, after having parted ways with Abel Sanchez. In truth, given the kind of fighter that Cecilia Brækhus is, Abel Sanchez was a strange choice.
Strange indeed. Not because he's not a good trainer. He's a good trainer, but Abel Sanchez's speciality really is offense, whereas Cecilia Brækhus, at her best, was a boxer, a cerebral fighter, not a bruiser, not a slugger.
The only inference I can make is that she wanted to become a more offensive fighter, so she enlisted the aid of an offensively minded trainer, but
It's bad.
it's the worst I've ever seen her.
In any event, she's back with Jonathan Banks now, who I think is a much better fit for Cecilia, given the kind of fighter that she is and the kind of fighter that she has been. They have a rapport.
She's going to be facing Argentinian journeywoman Marisa Portillo. Sports professional record of 19 wins, 15 losses with 3 draws.
34 years old, albeit a very well-traveled 34 years old, to Cecilia Brækhus, who's 7 years older at 41.
Marisa Portillo has never competed at the same level as Cecilia Brækhus, though at the same time, Cecilia being 7 years older and a lot more inactive.
It's been well over a year since Cecilia Brækhus last had a fight. It's been well over a year, close to 2, just 4 months shy.
4 months shy of a full 2-year hiatus from the sport. You wonder, why didn't something happen in the in-between time?
Nothing major, not necessarily a title fight, but a 6-rounder, an 8-rounder, a keep busy fight. We know that some effort went into trying to put Cecilia Brækhus in there with Patricia Bergult, I believe it was, on the undercard of what was supposed to be Oscar Rivas versus Rosansky, his mandatory challenger, and due to logistics issues, that fight, that card never happened, thus Cecilia didn't get to fight. But what I'm thinking is more akin to a keep busy fight, a tune-up fight, a 6-rounder, an 8-rounder, just something to shake off the ring rust, not necessarily a title fight.
That's more or less what this is, but it seems like it's taken a very long time to get Cecilia Brækhus back in the ring.
The title fight with Patricia, it didn't materialize, and Patricia went on to fight Natasha Jonas instead, lost the title to Natasha.
I'm going to assume that Cecilia's next fight is going to be a junior middleweight contest. I'm going to assume that because at this age, I don't think she can get any lower than 147 pounds.
I don't think she can, and I think she's done all she can do at 147 pounds. I vaguely recall some blurbs some months ago about Cecilia moving up in weight, and we know she was targeting a junior middleweight title, a junior middleweight campaign, because she was supposed to fight a junior middleweight champion, Patricia Bergult. So I'm going to assume that this fight she's set to have later on this week is her maiden voyage to the junior middleweight division. Opposite the ring, Marisa Portillo.
A naturally smaller fighter than Cecilia, a safe choice for this endeavor. She's shared the ring with anyone from Daniela Bermudez to Lisbeth Crespo, Vicia Trovato.
These are all naturally smaller fighters than Cecilia Brækhus, fighters that you find campaigning well below welterweight.
Cecilia Brækhus is coming off of 2 consecutive losses to Jessica McCaskill. Marissa's coming off a win, a unanimous decision win, over journeywoman Elizabeth Britos, fighter with an upside-down record. Only 1 recorded win, 13 recorded losses.
I'm fairly confident, fairly certain that this is a junior middleweight contest. I don't think a 41-year-old Cecilia Brækhus can get down anywhere below 147 pounds.
She has to win this fight, bank these rounds, and look good doing it.
She has to. If she is campaigning as a junior middleweight moving forward, the inference we can make is that she's looking to corner a fight with either Terry Harper, that division's WBA champion, or Natasha Jonas, that division's Unified Ring Magazine and lineal champion. Those
are the only 2 champions left at 154 pounds.
It's just those 2. If Cecilia makes it through this upcoming fight later on this week, I can only deduce that that's who she's looking to go after. That's who she's looking to share the ring with at some point next year in order to become a 2-division champion.
Try to.
The Jessica McCaskill fights. were nightmare scenarios for an aging fighter. A physical, rough-and-tumble fighter who doesn't want to box you, they want to bang, and they're going to push the envelope.
A physical fight is a nightmare scenario for an aging fighter. A physical fight don't favor the older fighter. So as long as Cecilia Brækhus can keep a lid on things and keep this a boxing match.
Control the tempo, the pace, and the space. Control where the fight is being fought and when the action happens. She should at minimum be able to win a points decision against a fighter like this. We then come to this morning's action in the land of the rising sun, Japan. Naoya Inoue, the Monster's undisputed bid, his chance to make history not just for himself and his legacy, but for his country and this division. This is the first undisputed champion the bantamweight division has seen in the four-belt era. I believe this is the first undisputed champion Japan has ever seen. Overall, opposite the ring, the United Kingdom's own Paul Butler, a brave soul to go in there who fought a less than a brave fight.
Spent most of it on his bike fighting negative.
Staying away the whole fight, staying behind that high guard, catching shots on the arms and gloves, the occasional burst of aggression, the occasional burst of punches, far and few in between when it came to Paul.
He seemed quite content just surviving. He wasn't trying to take it to Naoya Inoue.
And given that Paul Butler was offering up so little in terms of offense, you can hardly accuse him of catching and shooting. That's not what he was doing. He was really just surviving. Happy to do so through 11.
Naoya Inoue, surgically, not one for wasting his punches. He picked his punches well. Some shots downstairs, trying to penetrate the guard upstairs. Bit difficult when the guy spends the whole fight moving away from you.
A frustrating night, though. Naoya Inoue, being as surgical and cerebral as he is, he didn't give in to frustration and start making mistakes. Instead, he resorted to a bit of showboating. The Ali shuffle, Roy Jones Jr.'s hands behind the back routine.
You'll remember the old chicken wing.
It's hard to land clean punches on a guy who's made a decision within himself that he's really not going to try, that he's going to spend the whole fight just shelling up and surviving, moving away from the action.
It's essentially a guy who's not fighting.
Paul Butler wasn't. He was doing his best to win the foot race, but as far as the boxing match,
just wasn't doing enough in that department. Nowhere near enough.
In the 11th round, Naoya Inoue was finally able to close the show, getting through with a left hook, a very short left hook that visibly hurt Paul Butler, at which point Naoya started pouring it on till he got his man out of there.
That one punch, that one left hook that got through was enough to hurt Paul Butler.
That one left hook he was unable to recover. And with that, Naoya Inoue effectively becomes Japan's first undisputed champion, first in the four-belt era, first bantamweight undisputed champion.
His Hall of Fame ticket is punched. It's punched already at just 29 years old. He has effectively made history for himself, for his legacy, his country, and this division.
His ticket is punched. At 29 years old, he's a three-division, undisputed, current reigning, Ring Magazine and Lineal champion, already setting his sights on a fourth division, a fourth conquest, and just with that, just what he's done at like flyweight,
super flyweight, and bantamweight. His ticket is punched because that's what it takes. That's what it takes to get in the hall. The kind of dominance and the kind of career accolades, the kind of history-making campaigns that Naoya Inoue has been on. It doesn't matter if you as an individual are not impressed.
Who the fuck cares what you think?
Who the fuck are you?
It doesn't matter if you're not familiar with the light flyweight, super flyweight, or bantamweight divisions. It doesn't matter what you do or don't know.
Because it's not about you, so get that in your fucking head.
You fucking bozo. Naoya Inoue is a generational talent. He is his country's first undisputed champion. Not just in the four-belt era, I think he's the first undisputed champion Japan has produced. Overall, he didn't just make history for himself and his own legacy. He made history for his country and this division.
These are not baby belts or vacant titles that he's picking up. He's picking up full-fledged alphabet titles. He's a full-fledged alphabet champion, having beaten every champion in the bantamweight division.
5 or 6 champions overall throughout his entire career. 5 or 6 across 3 weight divisions, 3 weight classes. 5 or 6, give or take.
You know, because 2 of those belts that he picked up, 2 of them were from the same guy, the Nonito Donaire fights. The first one, the War, the Classic, and the second one that ended a lot more abruptly than the first one did.
So it's more like 5 champions, though 6 really if we count the alphabet titles individually. In the last set of updated Ring IQ pound-for-pound list ranked standings, Naoya Inoue ranked in at number 4, but he now advances to number 3.
Ahead of 3-division champion and former undisputed champion Terrence Crawford, on the premise that in the last 12 months and the last 2 years, Naoya Inoue has been a more active fighter than Terrence.
He has been more active than Terrence the last 2 years. You know, Terrence only fought once last year, only fought once this year, whereas Naoya Inoue, he fought 2 times last year and 2 times this year. And in terms of championship scalps, Naoya Inoue's got him beat 5 or 6 scalps to 4. 5 or 6, give or take.
Let's just call it 5 because 2 of those belts that he won were from the same guy. Let's do that.
Even if we do that, he's still got Terrence Crawford beat out 5 championship scalps to 4. Terrence Crawford's 4.
Terrence beat Ricky Burns for the WBO at 135 pounds, Victor Postol for the WBC at 140.
Julius Longdongo for the WBA and IBF titles, also at 140, and Jeff Horn at 147 pounds, also for the WBO.
There's 4 champions, 4 championship scalps to Naoya Inoue's 5 or 6, give or take.
Naoya Inoue beat Adrian Hernandez for the WBC title at light flyweight, Omar Narvaez for the WBO at super flyweight, Emmanuel Rodriguez for the IBF at bantamweight, Nonito Donaire for the WBA
and WBC at bantamweight, and more recently, he just beat Paul Butler for the WBO.
He's been more active in the last 12 months, the last 2 years, really, than Terrence Crawford. He's also been more active than Alexander Usyk.
Usyk's losing his grip on that number 2 spot because he's been averaging 1 fight a year for the last 2 years.
There's a credible enough argument there that you can move Naoya Inoue into that number 2 spot ahead of both Usyk and Terrence Crawford, and we may see that happen if it takes too long to get Usyk's next fight over the line.
Attention now turns to Naoya Inoue's proposed super bantamweight campaign. He has every intention of moving up to 122 pounds and doing what he just did at 118.
Will he stay the same guy up there, given his punching power, his boxing acumen, accuracy, and physical dimensions, his age? Can he be at 122 who he has been at 118? Can he be at 122 who he has been so far?
I'll tell you what, whether he can or he can't, like I said, his Hall of Fame ticket, it's already punched.
Congratulations to Japan's own Monster. And ahead of this Paul Butler fight that most everyone was picking Naoya Inoue to win, it was already known what his intentions would be beyond the fight, that he means to move up in weight, move up to super bantamweight, and see if he can't do the same thing up there. Post-fight, he made it crystal clear. That's exactly what he means to do. And because he just procured Paul Butler's WBO title, I anticipate that he will use that title to petition for WBO Super Championship status so that he can move up in weight as the WBO's mandatory challenger to Stephen Fulton straight away. Not dissimilar from what we saw with Terrence Crawford and Jeff Horn. After Terrence became the 140-pound division's undisputed champion, he was able to become Jeff Horn's mandatory challenger straight away. Not dissimilar from what we saw with Usyk when he moved up from cruiserweight to heavyweight. He did the same thing. By way of the WBO, he became Anthony Joshua's mandatory challenger straight away. I believe that's what we're about to see with Naoya Inoue and Stephen Fulton. Stephen Fulton, one of 2 unified champions in the super bantamweight division, but one who's set to move up to super featherweight. Forget this, a Brandon Figueroa rematch.
We've talked about all of this in previous videos and how I have no expectation to see Inoue versus Fulton come into fruition, in spite of that having become a conversation the last couple of months.
Inoue versus Fulton as a fight is a very intriguing fight, and I would love to see it materialize, but I'm not that wide-eyed or optimistic. It's not a coincidence that as soon as Naoya Inoue is on the eve of moving up to super bantamweight, that's when Stephen Fulton makes a decision to ascend up to featherweight.
To fight a guy that he beat already.
Close fight or no close fight. The Brandon Figueroa fight, the Brandon Figueroa rematch, doesn't have the profile of an Inoue fight because neither Brandon Figueroa or Stephen Fulton have the profile here that Naoya Inoue has in Japan, and neither Brandon Figueroa or Stephen Fulton are thought of as being of the same ilk as a Naoya Inoue. He is widely regarded as one of the best pound-for-pound fighters in the sport, in the world. Neither Brandon or Stephen have that reputation.
A lot of people spent a lot of time talking about that fight, but I told you, it's not going to happen. What I expect, Stephen's going to vacate the WBO title.
If this pans out, The way I think it's going to pan out. Inoue petitions for WBO Super Championship status so that he can effectively become Stefan's mandatory challenger straight away. If that happens, I don't think Stefan's going to go to Japan, and I certainly don't think he's going to fight as part of a top-ranked show here in America. I anticipate that because he's moving up to super featherweight for a WBC interim title,
I anticipate he's going to vacate the brown belt, vacate the WBO title as soon as that situation rears its ugly head.
I don't know what he's going to do with the green belt. I don't know what he's going to do with the WBC title because he's got two. He's got the brown belt and he's got the green one. And he may vacate the brown one because he still would have the green one, in theory.
But I don't expect that those two guys are ever going to fight, and it's disappointing because it's a very interesting fight. Stephen Fulton showed how durable he is in the Brandon Figueroa fight, the first one, and he's a defensively responsible fighter. He doesn't throw caution to the wind. So between his durability, the fact that he's naturally bigger than Naoya Inoue, and him being a defensively minded fighter, it's a genuinely intriguing fight, but it won't happen.
There's a lot of questions in association with a fight like that. Can Naoya Inoue be the same guy at 122 that he has been at 118? Will his power carry? Will he be as surgical, as precise, and as effective, efficient opposite the ring? A defensively responsible fighter, a defensive specialist like a Stephen Fulton. There are genuine questions in association with a fight like that, but we won't get the answers. In all likelihood, Naoya Inoue will become a 4-division champion inside of 2 fights, at which point he will then turn his attention to the only other unified champion at this weight, Matchroom Zone, MJ Akhmadaliev, who's currently under orders by way of the IBF to satisfy yet another mandatory challenger.
If he makes it through, that guy stays a unified champion, there's a whale of a fight right there for him. A fight with an even bigger profile than the Fulton fight would have had, than the Fulton fight.
If push comes to shove, I don't think Eddie Hearn and Matchroom would stand in the way of that opportunity for MJ. If MJ were required to go to Japan for the fight, I think they'd let him go.
They let Alicia Baumgartner go to boxing for Michaela.
They let Felix Cash go to BT for Denzel Bentley. More recently, they let John Ryder go to BT for Zach Parker. If push comes to shove, I don't think Matchroom is going to get in the way.
I don't.
And Inoue versus Akhmadaliev is no booby prize. You know, it's a very entertaining fight if you can do it because they're both offensively minded fighters.
That has all the potential to be a war. That has all the potential to be a modern-day classic. Somebody's going to the hospital.
Looking forward to it.